The screen is black for a moment. Then the speaker begins, her voice calm, but with a tremor of steel beneath it. For my mother's 60th birthday, I spent an entire year hand-stitching a legacy quilt. 12 blocks, each one representing a defining moment of her life, a story told in thread and fabric. I poured my soul into it. At her lavish party, in front of 100 guests, she unwrapped it, said, "Oh, how crafty," and set it aside. 2 hours later, I found it in a heap on the back patio, being used as a bed for their new golden retriever puppy. So, I took back my gift, walked into her pristine walk-in closet, and took something of hers. Now, a features editor from Architectural Digest is calling her daily about a photo shoot. My sister is sending me unhinged text messages, and my mother is leaving me these frantic voicemails, begging me to fix the mess I supposedly created. The thing is, for the first time in my life, I have absolutely no intention of fixing anything. This was supposed to be the year I finally got it right. That's what I told myself anyway. 60 is a milestone, a big one. It felt significant, like a landmark in the topography of our family that demanded a grand gesture, a peace offering. For years, my relationship with my mother, Evelyn, has been complex. It's like living in a beautifully decorated house where one of the support beams is cracked. From the outside, it's flawless. Manicured lawns, seasonal wreaths on the door, a subscription to every high-end home and garden magazine. But if you live inside, you learn not to put too much weight in certain places. You learn to listen for the creaks. My sister, Chloe, never had to learn that. She's 4 years younger, and she was born into the finished house. She is the grand foyer, the crystal chandelier, the part of the house everyone gasps at when they walk in. I've always been more like the foundation, necessary, but entirely unseen. Quietly holding everything up while the festivities happen on the main floor. Chloe is a social media influencer, a career that perfectly suits her. Her life is a curated feed of aesthetic brunches, sponsored trips to Tulum, and effortless beauty. She's the daughter my mother always wanted to be. I'm the daughter my mother has. I'm a ceramicist. I work with clay. I make things with my hands, slowly and deliberately. I find beauty in imperfection, in the texture of the earth. My mother finds beauty in things that are polished, expensive, and approved by her social circle. So for her 60th, I wanted to bridge that gap. I wanted to give her something that was so undeniably me, but so deeply about her, that she'd have to see it. Have to see me. The idea for the quilt came to me last summer. A legacy quilt. I spent weeks just planning it. I sourced vintage fabrics, some from my grandmother's old sewing box. I sketched out 12 designs. The first block was a tiny embroidered version of the house she grew up in. Another showed the 2 bluebirds that nested outside the hospital window the day I was born. A story she used to tell me. There was a block with the sheet music from her favorite Chopin nocturne, one with the constellations as they appeared on her wedding night. The final block was an intricate tree of life, its roots weaving through the other 11 squares, connecting everything. It took me a year. A solid year of late nights, pricked fingers, and strained eyes. I'd come home from my studio, covered in clay dust, and work on this quilt until 2 in the morning. Every stitch was a memory. Every knot was a prayer that this gift would finally say what I couldn't. I see you. I love you. I am a part of your story, even if you've written me out of the recent chapters. I finished it the week before the party. I folded it carefully, wrapped it in tissue paper scented with lavender, and placed it in a beautiful, handcrafted cedar box I made myself. It felt heavy in my hands, not just from the weight of the fabric, but from the weight of my hope. And God, I was so hopeful. I let myself believe this time would be different, that a gift this personal, this monumental, couldn't possibly be brushed aside. I was wrong. The party was exactly what you'd expect. Catered, an open bar with a signature cocktail called the Evelyn, and a string quartet playing softly on the lawn. My mother was in her element, floating through the crowd in a pale gold dress, her laughter tinkling like wind chimes. She looked incredible, a testament to good genes and even better dermatologists. When I arrived, she kissed the air next to my cheek. "Elara, darling, you made it. Can you be a dear and check with the caterer? I think we're running low on the fig and prosciutto crostini." Not, "I'm so glad you're here." Just a task. I did it, of course. I always do. I waited for a lull in the crowd to give her my gift. She was standing with a circle of her friends, women with identical highlights and impressively white teeth. I approached, holding the heavy cedar box. "Mom, happy birthday. This is for you." I said it quietly, not wanting to make a scene. She took the box, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. "Oh, Elara, you shouldn't have." She opened it. The tissue paper rustled. She lifted the quilt, holding it by the corners. It unfolded, a tapestry of her life, shimmering under the party lights. For a second, there was silence. I held my breath. One of her friends leaned in. "My goodness, Evelyn, what is it?" My mother gave a tight little laugh. "It's a blanket. My daughter Elara made it. She's very crafty." The word landed like a stone in a pond. Crafty. Not beautiful. Not thoughtful. Crafty. The kind of word you use for a macaroni necklace a 5-year-old makes. She folded it back up, haphazardly, creasing the block with her childhood home. "Thank you, darling. It's very warm." She then placed the box on a nearby table, behind a large floral arrangement, and turned back to her friends. "Now, who wants another glass of champagne?" My heart didn't break. It just sort of deflated, like a balloon that had been pricked. A little while later, Chloe made her grand entrance. She was late, of course, which is her signature move. She presented my mother with a small velvet box from Tiffany & Company. Inside was a diamond tennis bracelet. My mother gasped, a real genuine gasp. She held it up to the light, tears welling in her eyes. "Oh, Chloe, it's exquisite. It's perfect." She hugged her tightly, whispering, "You know me so well." The bracelet was immediately clasped onto her wrist, a glittering centerpiece for the rest of the evening. My handmade cedar box remained hidden behind the flowers. I felt that old familiar ache settle in my chest, the ache of being the prologue to someone else's main story. The party wore on. I made small talk. I smiled. I fetched drinks for elderly aunts. I played the part of the good, quiet daughter. Around 10 o'clock, the air got a little chilly, and I decided to grab the light jacket I'd left on a chair on the back patio. As I stepped through the French doors, I saw him. Winston, their new adorable 4-month-old golden retriever puppy. He was curled up asleep in the corner, looking angelic, and he was sleeping on my quilt. It wasn't just draped over him. It was bunched up, a makeshift bed on the cold flagstone. The corner block, the one with the intricate tree of life, the one that took me 80 hours to stitch, had a muddy paw print on it. There was a dark, wet spot that was probably puppy drool. My mother, or Chloe, or someone, had seen this masterpiece of love and labor, a literal chronicle of a woman's 60 years on this earth, and thought, you know what? This would make a great dog bed. I just stood there. The sound of the string quartet, the laughter from the party, it all faded into a dull roar in my ears. It wasn't anger that I felt first. It was a profound, hollow emptiness, a confirmation of a truth I had spent my entire life trying to deny. To them, my efforts, my love, my very essence were disposable, worthless, something you'd give to a dog. I didn't storm back inside. I didn't scream. My reaction was eerily quiet. I walked over to the puppy, who barely stirred. Very carefully, I lifted a corner of the quilt. He sighed in his sleep and rolled over. I gently pulled the entire thing out from under him. The fabric was damp and smelled faintly of dog. The muddy paw print was like a slap in the face. I stood there on the patio under the fairy lights, holding this desecrated piece of my own heart. And in that moment, something inside me didn't break. It solidified. It hardened into a single cold, clear thought. No more. I folded the quilt, mud print and all, and walked calmly to my car. I placed it on the passenger seat like a wounded soldier. Then, I didn't drive away. I sat there for a moment, the engine off, the muffled sounds of the party still audible. And then I knew exactly what I had to do. It wasn't a plan born of rage. It was a plan born of clarity. The kind of clarity that comes when you have absolutely nothing left to lose. I got out of my car and walked back into the house. No one noticed me. I slipped past the laughing guests, down the hallway, and up the main staircase. Her bedroom door was ajar. I pushed it open. The room was immaculate, a sea of beige and cream. And there it was, the walk-in closet, the door slightly open, a light on inside. It was my mother's sanctuary, organized by color, season, and designer. I walked inside. The air smelled of cedar and expensive perfume, and I went straight to the vintage section. My mother is a collector of classic Chanel, but there was one piece that was her holy grail. It was a pale blue silk chiffon gown from the 1960s, designed by Dior. It was my grandmother's. She wore it once, to an inaugural ball, and left it to my mother. It was priceless, not just for its monetary value, but for its history. It was the crown jewel of her collection. And I knew from overhearing her on the phone for weeks that she was planning to wear it for a feature. Architectural Digest was doing a piece on the enduring style of legacy homes, and they were going to photograph her, the matriarch, in this very dress, in the grand foyer of her perfect house. The photo shoot was scheduled for Tuesday. I took the dress off its padded hanger. The silk felt like water in my hands. It was beautiful, an irreplaceable piece of our family's history, just like the quilt was supposed to be. I folded it with a precision that would have made her proud, placed it in the empty garment bag I found hanging in the back, and I walked out. I walked down the stairs, through the party, out the front door, and back to my car. No one saw me. I was, as always, invisible. I put the dress in my trunk, got in the driver's seat, and drove away without a word. I didn't look back. This wasn't new, this feeling of being secondary. It's been the wallpaper of my entire life. I think the dynamic was cemented when we were kids. I remember my 8th birthday. I had asked for a pottery wheel. Not a toy one, a real one. I had been obsessed with making things out of clay since a field trip in 2nd grade. My mother had laughed. "Oh, Elara, that's so messy. Why don't you ask for a beautiful dollhouse?" I got the dollhouse. For Chloe's 8th birthday, she asked for a pony. A real pony. My parents didn't buy her a pony, but they did sign her up for the most exclusive equestrian lessons in the state, complete with custom-made riding boots. Her desire was taken seriously. Mine was a messy inconvenience. The pattern repeated itself through our school years. I was a straight-A student, on the honor roll, captain of the debate team. When I brought home my report card, my mother would glance at it and say, "That's wonderful, dear," before putting it on the fridge, under a grocery list. The day Chloe won Best Smile in her middle school yearbook, my mother had the page professionally framed and put it on the grand piano in the living room. It's still there. When it came time for college, I got a significant academic scholarship to a state university. It was a point of pride for me. I had earned it entirely on my own merits. My mother's reaction? Well, that's practical. It'll certainly save us a lot of money. There was no celebration dinner. No "we're so proud of you" speech. When Chloe got accepted into a private out-of-state art school with an astronomical price tag, my parents threw a huge party for her. They talked endlessly about investing in her creative future. My practical, messy creativity, the kind that led to scholarships, wasn't a worthy investment. Her expensive aesthetic creativity was. I helped her write the application essays. I spent a whole weekend helping her assemble her portfolio, matting her drawings, making them look professional. She barely thanked me. My mother said, "You're so good at that sort of thing, Elara. It's wonderful that you can support your sister." I wasn't being a good sister. I was being a good assistant. A tool. Even after college, when I opened my own small studio, it was the same story. They came to the grand opening. My mother walked around, touching the rough, unglazed pots with her fingertips, as if she might catch something. "It's all very rustic," she'd said. Her one and only purchase was a small, smooth, white porcelain bowl, the most conventional and least interesting thing I made. She keeps it on her nightstand to hold her rings. A tiny, sanitized piece of me she can tolerate. Meanwhile, she has invested thousands of dollars into Chloe's brand, helping her secure a business manager and funding her endless stream of content creation trips. I never complained. I never made waves. I just kept trying. I kept showing up for holidays. I kept sending thoughtful, handmade birthday cards. I kept hoping that one day the scale would tip. That one day, an act of love from me would be weighed the same as a purchase from Chloe. The quilt was meant to be that act. It was meant to be so heavy with love and time that it would shatter the scale. Instead, She put it on the floor for the dog. And that's why, when I took that Dior dress from her closet, I felt no guilt. I only felt a strange, quiet sense of balance. For the first time, I had taken something instead of just giving. I had finally stopped trying to add to my side of the scale and simply removed a weight from hers. The first text came the next morning. It was from my mother. "Morning, darling. A bit worried you left so abruptly last night. Is everything okay?" I stared at the message. The casual, feigned concern. She hadn't even noticed the quilt was gone. I didn't reply. An hour later, another text. "Chloe said you seemed a little quiet. Hope we didn't overwhelm you. It was a lot, I know. Still nothing about the quilt. Still nothing about the actual injury. Just vague, dismissive concern." I imagined her typing it, a slight frown on her perfectly maintained face, annoyed that she even had to perform this perfunctory check-in. The real panic didn't start until Tuesday, the day of the photo shoot. The first call came at 9 a.m. I let it go to voicemail. The message was breathless. "Elara, call me immediately. It's an emergency." 10 minutes later, another call, another voicemail. "Elara, I'm serious. The Architectural Digest people are here, and I can't find it. The blue dress. Grandmother's dress. Have you seen it? Did I mention it to you? Call me." Her voice was tight with a frantic energy I'd never heard before. Then, Chloe started. A string of texts. "Mom is freaking out. Where is the Dior? This is not funny, Elara. You have to know something. You were the last one upstairs, weren't you? Mom's friends said they saw you go up. You are ruining everything. This photo shoot is a huge deal for Mom." I read the messages, a cold calm washing over me. Ruining everything. They thought this, me taking a dress, was ruining everything. Not the years of quiet neglect. Not the casual cruelty of using a year's worth of my love as a dog bed. Just the dress. Because the dress was about appearances. The dress was for the public. The quilt was private. It was just for her. And she had shown me exactly what my private, heartfelt gestures were worth. My mother showed up at my studio that afternoon. She didn't knock. She just burst through the door, causing a little bell I have hanging there to jangle violently. Her face was pale, her eyes wild. She was wearing expensive athleisure wear, but she looked disheveled. Her perfect composure completely gone. "Where is it?" she demanded. No hello, no preamble. I was sitting at my wheel, my hands covered in wet gray clay. I didn't stop. The wheel kept spinning, a soft, whirring sound in the quiet studio. "Where is what, Mom?" I asked, my voice even. "Don't play dumb with me, Elara. You know what? My dress. Grandmother's dress. The photo shoot is a disaster. They're waiting." I had to tell them it was at a special preservationist for cleaning and that it was delayed. She was pacing now, her sneakers squeaking on the concrete floor. "I know you took it. One of my friends saw you come downstairs with a garment bag. Why would you do this? Out of spite? Because Chloe's gift was more expensive? Is that it? Are you that petty?" I stopped the wheel. I looked up at her, my hands still slick with clay. "Petty?" I repeated the word slowly, letting it hang in the air between us. "You think this is about money? What else could it be?" she shot back. "You've always been jealous of your sister." I wiped my hands on a damp rag and stood up. I walked over to a corner of my studio, where a large flat box was leaning against the wall. I opened it. Inside, cleaned and pressed, and looking perfect again, was the quilt. The muddy paw print was gone. I had spent all of Sunday painstakingly cleaning it. "This," I said, my voice dangerously soft. "This is what it's about." She stared at the quilt, and for the first time, a flicker of something. Was it shame? Recognition? Crossed her face. I don't understand." "I found it on the patio," I said, my voice as cold and smooth as stone. "Winston was sleeping on it. It had mud and drool on it. You took a year of my life, a year of my love, and you used it as a dog bed." She actually flinched. "Oh, that. Elara, that was an accident. The puppy must have dragged it outside. I didn't know." "Didn't you?" I cut her off. "Or did you put a priceless handmade gift on a side table behind some flowers and forget it existed the second a Tiffany's box showed up? You taught me something at your party, Mom. You taught me about value. You showed me that the things made with love and time, things that carry our history, are worthless, disposable. So, I just applied your lesson." She stared at me, her mouth slightly open. "What are you talking about?" I smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. "The dress, that old thing. It was just sitting in your closet collecting dust. I figured, based on how you treated the quilt, that you were done with sentimental family heirlooms. So I decided to put it to good use." "Good use?" Her voice was a squeak. "What did you do?" "I donated it," I said calmly, "to a charity auction for a local women's shelter. I thought you'd be proud. Imagine the good it will do. The press release will be wonderful. Evelyn Hayes, local philanthropist, donates priceless vintage Dior gown to support women escaping domestic violence. You'll be a hero." The color drained from her face. She looked like she was going to be sick. She understood immediately. I had trapped her. She couldn't possibly go to the press and say, "My horrible daughter stole my dress and I want it back." She'd have to explain why I took it. She'd have to talk about the quilt. She'd have to admit to her friends, to the world, to the reporter from Architectural Digest, that her perfect family was a lie. Her carefully curated image would shatter. To save her own public face, she would have to play the part of the philanthropist I had invented for her. She would have to let the dress go. She just stood there, in the middle of my dusty studio, surrounded by my crafts. And for the first time in my entire life, she was speechless. She had no move left to make. Checkmate. The fallout was quiet and loud. All at once. My mother didn't call the police, of course. She couldn't. She called off the photo shoot, citing a family emergency, which only fueled the gossip mill in her social circle. She had to maintain the lie that the dress was being preserved, a lie that became more transparent by the day. Chloe, on the other hand, was a tempest. She sent me a barrage of voice notes, her voice escalating from furious to tearful. "Do you have any idea what you've done? You've humiliated Mom. People are talking. This isn't about a stupid blanket anymore, Elara. This is about our family's reputation." A stupid blanket. That's all it ever was to her. She didn't defend my mother's actions. She didn't once say, "I'm sorry she hurt your feelings." Her only concern was the cracking of the family's public facade. I didn't respond to any of it. I blocked Chloe's number. I let my mother's voicemails pile up, unheard. They were a mix of begging, demanding, and crying, pleading with me to just tell her which charity so she could try to buy it back quietly. I knew she would, and I knew that if she got it back, nothing would change. She would smooth over the cracks, repaint the walls, and the house would look perfect again, while I would still be in the faulty foundation. So, I stayed silent. The truth is, there was no charity auction. The dress was safe. It was in a climate-controlled storage unit I rented under a fake name. I had no intention of selling it or giving it away. That wasn't the point. The point was the absence of it. The point was for my mother to live in the space that it left behind. I wanted her to walk into her perfect closet every day and see that one empty hanger. I wanted her to feel the weight of what was missing. The same weight I had felt my entire life. A week later, I received an email from my father. He's a man who has always chosen the path of least resistance, which usually means siding with my mother to keep the peace. The email was short and formal. Subject: a time to be the bigger person. It read, "Elara, your mother is beside herself. Whatever point you were trying to make, you've made it. It is time to end this. Families go through disagreements, but they resolve them with grace. Please, for the sake of everyone, be the bigger person and return the dress." Be the bigger person. I must have read that line 20 times. I had been the bigger person my entire life. I had swallowed my hurt. I had accepted the crumbs of affection. I had quietly supported their golden child. I had stitched my love into a quilt for a woman who wouldn't even grant it the respect of a proper place in her home. I was done being the bigger person. Being the bigger person is exhausting when you're the only one doing it. I typed back a single sentence. I learned my behavior from watching you, and I hit send. He didn't write back. The silence from my end drove them to a place my anger never could have. My silence was a mirror. In it, they could only see their own frantic, ugly reflections. The story in their circle, from what I heard through a cousin, had morphed. Evelyn wasn't the victim of a petty daughter anymore. The whispers started to change. What could Elara possibly have been so upset about? She's always been so quiet. I heard Evelyn wasn't very gracious about the gift she made her. The narrative was slipping from my mother's control, because my silence created a vacuum, and gossip, like nature, abhors a vacuum. This was never about revenge. Not really. Revenge is a hot, messy emotion. This was about justice. It was about balance. For 30 years, the emotional scales in our family have been catastrophically unbalanced. I gave, they took. I tried, they dismissed. I loved, they tolerated. I felt like I was pouring my life force into a bucket with a hole in the bottom. A hole they refused to acknowledge, let alone fix. Taking the dress wasn't adding a weight to my side. It was simply stopping the flow. It was my way of finally saying, I will no longer offer up my heart to be desecrated. I will no longer handcraft my love for you to toss on the floor. The things I make, the love I give, have value. If you cannot see that value, then you no longer have access to it. It's that simple. The quilt now hangs on the largest wall of my studio. It's the first thing you see when you walk in. It's beautiful. The muddy paw print is gone, the fabric is clean, and the threads shimmer under the studio lights. It's a masterpiece, my masterpiece. It's no longer a gift for my mother. It's a monument to myself. It's a reminder that I'm a creator of beautiful, valuable things, even when the intended recipient is blind to them. It reminds me that my worth isn't determined by their acceptance. My worth is inherent. It's in the skill of my hands, the patience of my stitches, the depth of my feelings. Sometimes my customers ask about it. "That's incredible," they'll say. "What's the story behind it?" And I tell them, "It's the story of a life," I say. And it taught me that you should never let someone else tell you what your art is worth. I am learning to live in the quiet of my phone not ringing with passive-aggressive texts, the quiet of not bracing for the next family gathering where I'll have to perform my role as the lesser daughter. It's a different kind of quiet. It's not the lonely quiet of being ignored. It's the peaceful quiet of choosing yourself, of reclaiming your own narrative. I am no longer the unseen foundation. I am the architect of my own house now, and the walls are solid. So this is where we are now. The dress is in storage, the quilt is on my wall, and my family is in a state of suspended animation, waiting for me to make the next move. But I'm not going to. The next move is, and always has been, theirs. It has to start with 2 words I have never, not once, heard from them in a way that felt real. Not, "Where's the dress?" but "I'm sorry." Until then, I have my work. I have my clay, my wheel, and my kiln. I spend my days creating things, taking raw earth and shaping it into something with purpose and beauty. I find solace in the process. You can't rush clay. You can't force it. You have to understand it. You have to be patient. You have to respect its nature. You have to give it the right conditions to become what it's meant to be. You can't just throw it on the floor and hope it turns into a masterpiece. That's the lesson. You can't treat a person like raw, disposable material and expect them to hold your life together. Sooner or later, they learn to shape themselves into something new, something strong, something beautiful, something entirely their own. And sometimes, that new shape no longer fits in the space you left for it. Now I'm turning it over to you. I've read so many stories like this in comment sections, and I honestly want to know what you think. Was I justified in taking the dress? Or did I sink to her level? Is there a point where being the bigger person is just another way of enabling someone's bad behavior? Tell me your stories. Tell me what you would have done. I'll be reading every single comment. And if you believe in the power of reclaiming your own story and setting boundaries that finally stick, hit that subscribe button, because we have a lot more to talk about.